A recently declassified NASA document suggests we may not know the full truth about the moon landing. Buried in a restricted archive once sealed to the public, it details anomalies recorded during the Apollo 11 mission, anomalies never explained. If verified, this could change everything we thought we knew about space exploration. But what's more disturbing is why this information was hidden in the first place. Did we really land on the moon? During the Cold War, the space race was far more than a contest of technology. It was a symbolic war of ideologies and global influence. From the mid-1950s, the United States and the Soviet Union engaged in an intense rivalry where every achievement in space was a statement of political and economic power. The Soviet Union surprised the world by launching Sputnik 1 in 1957, the first artificial satellite, marking a dramatic escalation in the competition. This battle continued with milestones such as Yuri Gagarin becoming the first human in space in 1961, a clear Soviet triumph. The United States responded with milestones of its own, including Alan Shepard's suborbital flight and John Glenn's orbit of Earth. Space was no longer just about exploration. It became a battlefield for narrative control, influencing public perception and signaling who would dominate the future. Achieving the moon landing in 1969 was both a technological feat and a political victory for the United States. It symbolized the country's ideological superiority and shaped the global narrative of progress and power. The stakes were not just scientific but deeply geopolitical. Dominating space meant dominating the story of modernity and future influence. This tense and high-stakes backdrop framed everything about the Apollo missions and the doubts that followed. Neil Armstrong's story begins with an early fascination for flight. Born in 1930 in Ohio, he earned his pilot's license at the remarkably young age of 16, demonstrating an early dedication to aviation. His career path took him through military service as a naval aviator during the Korean War, where he flew combat missions with precision. Afterward, he pursued a degree in aeronautical engineering at Purdue University, blending academic rigor with practical skills. Before joining NASA, Armstrong worked as a research test pilot, flying over 200 different types of aircraft and spacecraft prototypes. His experience included pushing machines to their limits, assessing their capabilities, and reporting vital data, responsibilities that required careful discipline and thoroughness. These qualities set him apart in NASA's astronaut selection process. In 1962, Armstrong was selected for NASA's Astronaut Corps. His first mission, Gemini 8 in 1966, demonstrated his calm under pressure when a critical thruster malfunction nearly resulted in disaster. Armstrong's swift manual control averted catastrophe and successfully docked with another spacecraft in orbit, the first such docking in history. This mission underscored his cool-headedness and meticulous focus. Despite the inevitable fame that followed, Armstrong did not seek the spotlight. Reports indicate he was intensely private, deeply committed to his professional duties rather than personal glory. Armstrong faced personal hardship too. The tragic loss of his young daughter, which remained largely private, adding a layer of human complexity beneath the historical icon. On July 20, 1969, Armstrong's silent dedication culminated in a moment broadcast worldwide. Piloting the Apollo 11 lunar module, Eagle down to the moon's surface, he took humanity's first steps beyond Earth, uttering the timeless phrase, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." Armstrong's humility amidst unprecedented achievement made him not just a national hero, but a symbol of quiet duty and historical significance in a mission that represented something far larger than individual fame. The moon landing was more than a scientific mission. It was a carefully crafted political message with immense symbolic power. Apollo 11 achieved what no economic investment could match. It declared technological and ideological dominance during the Cold War. The United States used the mission to assert itself as the leader of modernity, innovation, and global influence. The symbolism was intentional. The mission emblem featured a bald eagle landing on the moon with an olive branch in its talons, embodying peace yet projecting American strength. The planting of the American flag on the lunar surface was not about territorial claim. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty prevented any sovereign claims, but about marking a historic human achievement and asserting narrative control. The mission's success communicated a narrative of U.S. hegemony and confidence in its future leadership in space and on Earth. The moon landing became a symbol of national pride and ideological triumph over the Soviet Union, representing control over the ultimate frontier. This is why the stakes were so high. Losing this race meant losing influence over how history and progress were defined. Could such a powerful symbol have been fabricated if losing was unthinkable? The question continues to provoke doubt because the symbolism embodied global power dynamics far exceeding mere science or technology. The moon landing shaped not only history but also the ideological landscape of the 20th century, and remains a vivid symbol of dominance, pride, and contest of narratives to this day. Apollo 11's mission was a landmark in human history, filled with both extraordinary technical achievements and moments that sparked questions. The launch on July 16, 1969, initiated a journey that would culminate in the first humans setting foot on the moon. Throughout the mission, astronauts faced real dangers and complex challenges, including navigation, communication, and the delicate lunar landing. During descent, Neil Armstrong manually overrode the lunar module's computer to avoid a boulder-strewn area, guiding the Eagle to a safer landing spot with only about 20 seconds of fuel remaining. This moment of intense skill and calm under pressure was broadcast live worldwide to an estimated 600 million viewers, creating a shared global experience. Armstrong's historic words, "Houston, tranquility base here. The Eagle has landed," signaled a triumphant milestone. Minutes later, Armstrong stepped onto the lunar surface with his famous phrase, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." The mission combined bravery, precision, and scientific success, an unmistakable triumph. However, some noticed details that didn't appear to add up. Questions arose about the flag's apparent movement despite no atmosphere on the moon, inconsistent shadows in photographs, and the lack of stars in the sky. These anomalies fueled skepticism and conspiracy theories. Yet, when examined closely, many of these perceived inconsistencies have plausible scientific explanations, grounded in the unique lunar environment and mission conditions. Despite the overwhelming scientific evidence and documented success of the Apollo 11 mission, doubts about the moon landing emerged almost immediately. In 1974, Bill Kaysing, a former technical writer at Rocketdyne, published a book titled "We Never Went to the Moon," which is widely credited with sparking moon landing conspiracy theories. Kaysing argued that the technology of the 1960s was insufficient for a safe lunar landing, and that NASA staged the missions to win the space race. His claims resonated with a public increasingly skeptical of government in the aftermath of Watergate and the Vietnam War, a period marked by distrust in official narratives. The public reaction in the 1970s gave rise to a wider conspiracy culture, questioning many aspects of political and technological achievements. Skeptics pointed to photographic anomalies, the waving flag in a vacuum, absence of stars in the sky, perfectly preserved astronaut footprints, and radiation dangers from Van Allen belts as reasons to doubt the official story. These suspicions were fueled by a climate of political tension and an appetite for alternative explanations. While these theories gained traction among some groups, the majority of scientific experts and NASA countered with clear explanations. They highlighted the massive scale of the Apollo program, involving over 400,000 people and accumulated data, physical moon rocks that have been studied worldwide, and detailed third-party evidence including images from recent lunar orbiters confirming landing sites. Could Bill Kaysing be right? The answer lies in weighing one voice against overwhelming physical proof and expert consensus. The rise of doubt is a reflection of broader societal issues rather than a definitive challenge to the truth of Apollo 11. It is a chapter in the ongoing story of how public trust interacts with historic achievements. The conspiracy theories about the moon landing often rest on a handful of key claims that critics say cast doubt on the official story. These include the flag appearing to wave in a vacuum, shadows not aligning correctly in photos, the absence of stars in lunar sky images, perfectly preserved astronaut footprints despite a supposed lack of moisture, and the dangerous Van Allen radiation belts that supposedly would have made the journey impossible. Critics argue that the flag's movement is impossible in the moon's airless environment. But NASA explains the flag's ripples were caused by the motion of being planted and the low gravity, which caused it to move briefly before settling. The flag had a horizontal rod to hold it open as well, which gave it a rippled appearance. Regarding shadows, the uneven lunar surface and multiple light sources, such as reflected sunlight from the moon's surface and earthshine, can create complex shadow patterns, explaining perceived irregularities. The absence of stars in photos is due to camera exposure settings optimized for the bright lunar surface, which made distant stars too faint to appear. Perfect footprints in the lunar soil are plausible because the fine, dry, powdery regolith is excellent at preserving shapes in the absence of wind or water erosion, unlike on Earth. Lunar soil mechanics show the surface can hold crisp footprints, explaining why they remain unchanged decades later. As for radiation, the spacecraft had shielding, and the astronauts traveled through the Van Allen belts quickly, minimizing exposure. No lethal doses were recorded, and extensive later measurements confirm safe radiation levels during the missions. These points have been tested repeatedly by experts and simulated in experiments. While the questions remain popular among skeptics, scientific inquiry consistently favors the authenticity of the moon landing. The evidence, including physical samples of lunar rocks, retroreflectors left on the surface, and corroborating data from multiple Apollo missions, firmly support the historic reality of the event. Experts and scientists have rigorously tested the doubts and conspiracy theories surrounding the moon landing to establish the authenticity of Apollo missions. Controlled experiments have simulated lunar lighting conditions, shadow behavior, vacuum effects, and the behavior of lunar dust to replicate the evidence seen in official documentation. The Mythbusters, NASA researchers and independent scientists recreated scenarios such as the flag's movement, proving it was consistent with physical phenomenon in a vacuum with no air resistance. Simulated lighting experiments demonstrated that shadows on the moon can appear inconsistent due to multiple light sources, including sunlight reflected off the lunar surface and earthshine, which complicates shadow geometry. Vacuum tests confirmed that lunar soil behaves uniquely, preserving crisp footprints without erosion since there is no atmosphere. Radiation exposure was tested in models showing spacecraft shielding, rapid transit through Van Allen belts, and the comparatively low doses received, which would not be lethal. Physicists from the Institute of Physics and various space agencies have examined thousands of photos, videos, lunar rock samples, and mission transcripts, which provide a mountain of data verifying the mission's legitimacy. lunar reconnaissance orbiter images have photographed Apollo landing sites, showing remnants like lunar module descent stages and rover tracks, independent evidence beyond NASA. This scientific inquiry does not dismiss curiosity or skepticism, but answers with facts and repeated testing. Each experiment and analysis supports the conclusion that the moon landing was a real and well-documented achievement, holding firm even against persistent conspiracy claims. The moon landing remains one of the most enduring symbols of human achievement, but its significance goes beyond science and technology, touching on public trust, national identity, and the power of myth. In the aftermath of Watergate, the Vietnam War, and various political scandals, public faith in institutions and government narratives declined sharply. This environment gave rise to skepticism and conspiracy theories surrounding the Apollo missions. Belief in the moon landing shapes how societies understand not only the past but also the present. The landing became a source of national pride and a testament to what humanity can achieve. However, the rise of doubt highlights the tension between official stories and the public's desire to question narratives, especially when political trust is low. The symbolic power of the moon landing continues to play a role in culture and collective memory. It represents a broader dialogue about truth, power, and belief, how societies choose to interpret history and who controls the narrative. This belief or disbelief affects education, media, and public discourse, demonstrating that myths and symbols are as influential as facts. Understanding why the moon landing matters today requires acknowledging the layers beyond the event itself. It is a story about human aspiration, geopolitical rivalry, and the ongoing negotiation between evidence and perception, a reflection of how history is lived and remembered. Whether viewed as a triumph of human spirit and ingenuity, or as a contested episode fraught with doubts, the moon landing's legacy continues to resonate, reminding us that what we believe shapes our reality and our future. Whether or not you believe the moon landing was staged, the event symbolizes something far greater than fact or fiction. It represents human curiosity, ambition, and the endless drive to explore the unknown. The shadows and flags raised questions, but what was truly at stake was the future of power, knowledge, and belief. Reflect on what the moon landing means to you, how it shapes your understanding of history, truth, and our place in the universe. What we saw that day changed us all, and it continues to inspire generations to come. Remember, history is what we choose to believe.